Committee on Banks, Financial Institutions, Currency, and the Committee on Cooperatives and Committee on Ways and Means is hereby called to order. At this point, let me acknowledge the presence of the following members. I'd like to acknowledge from the Co-op-NATCO party list, Representative Filimon Espares, and of course, our Senate Majority Floor Leader, Senator Francis Tolentino. And with one senator present, I declare the presence of a quorum, with two senators, including me. At this point, may I ask the committee secretary to acknowledge our guests and resource persons attending today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. From the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, we have Attorney Orlando C. Negradas, Deputy Director, Financial Supervision Department.
Good afternoon.
And we also have Attorney Rosilio O. Prado, Director of Financial Supervision Department. From the Department of Finance, we have Attorney Diana K. Owaño, Legal Affairs Office, as well as Attorney Mark Anthony Mateo, Legal Services and Local Finance Group. From the Land Bank of the Philippines, we have their President and Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Maria Lynette V. Ortiz. Together with her are the following: Executive Vice President Lidovino S. Heron, Head, Branch Banking Sector; Executive Vice President Maria Celeste D. Burgos, Head, National Development and Lending Sector; Executive Vice President Karel D. Halog, Head of the Treasury and Investment Banking Sector. We also have Executive Vice President Alan V. Bornas, Head of the Operations Sector, and Senior Vice President Attorney Roderick P. Sacro, Head of the Corporate Services Sector. We also have Vice President Attorney Nicolas G. Tolentino, Chief of Staff and Officer in Charge of the Strategy Knowledge Management Group. Strategy Knowledge Management Group. From the Department of Agriculture, we have Mr. Charleston Dulay, the Chief of the Capacity Building Division, DA Agricultural Credit Policy Council. And from the Department of Labor and Employment, we have ASEC Leonard Constantine C. Serrano. From the Office of the Government Corporate Counsel, we have Assistant Government Corporate Counsel, Jose Marie C. Capili. From the Governance Commission for Government-Owned or Controlled Corporations, we have Director John Arnold C. Talusan and Attorney Aurel Dominic Inarag. We also have with us Representative Filimon Espares of the Co-op-NATCO party list. From the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation, we have Ms. Melba P. Manalo, Vice President, Corporate Business Affairs Group, as well as Mr. Arvin Jasper R. Adan, OIC Actuarial Research and Product Valuation Department. From the Cooperative Development Authority, they will be attending online. We have Attorney Leah B. Banagihan, Deputy Administrator for Legal Affairs Service, as well as Ms. Phoebe Rose D. Tolete, Legal Assistant 3 of the Legal Division. From the Philippine Guarantee Corporation, we have Attorney Cesar Romano of the Legal Services Group, as well as Senior Vice President Mr. Celso Gutierrez of the Priority Sectors Guarantee Group. From Bangko Op, we have Attorney Michael M. Borigas, as well as Maclodian B. Roldan. That's all, Mr. Chair.
For today's hearing, the committee will discuss the following legislative measures for the registration, regulation, and operation of cooperative banks. Senate Bill number 608, an act providing for the registration, regulation, and operation of cooperative banks by Senator Mig Zubiri and Senator Joel Villanueva. Senate Bill number 2579, an act providing for the registration, regulation, operation of cooperative banks by this representation. Senate Bill number 2741, an act providing for the registration, regulation, operation of cooperative banks by Senator Hontiveros and taking into consideration. House Bill number 8265, an act providing for the registration, regulation, operation of cooperative banks by Representatives Espares, Garcia, Paduano, et al. Please allow me to make specific House rules to ensure the orderly and efficient conduct of the hearing. Can the committee secretary inform today's attendees of our House rules?
Kindly mute your microphone if you're not recognized. Since the chair cannot see everyone at once, feel free to get his attention by specifying your name and that you have something to say. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Before we proceed with the hearing proper, may I ask the other senators present if they have any opening statements, or perhaps you have questions? I understand, Senator. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I associate myself with Senate Bill 608, Senate Bill 2579, 2471, as well as the accompanying House Bill 8265, realizing that cooperatives serve various sectors, especially in the rural and underserved communities. A cooperative bank would provide specialized financial products and services that are designed to meet the unique needs of cooperatives, such as lower interest loans, no offense to the Land Bank of the Philippines here, development funding, and long-term credit. According to the CDA, I'm sure CDA is listening right now via Zoom, as of August 31, 2021, that was several years ago, there are 24 cooperative banks operating in the country, with 4 operating nationwide, 10 region-wide banks at the provincial level, and 1 at the municipal level. Total assets as of after the pandemic would be 23,425,716,882. I believe, Mr. Chairman, that the proposed bills are designed to establish a comprehensive legal framework for co-op banks, allowing them to serve better the farmers, fisherfolk, micro-entrepreneurs, small traders, and other rural workers. And I'd like to thank the chairman of this committee, Senator Villar, because I think today we're celebrating the cooperative month, and it is indeed very timely to discuss this measure. One other thing I'd like to highlight, Mr. Chairman, is that the co-op banks, no offense again to the Land Bank of the Philippines, would promote financial inclusion, especially for small-scale farmers, fishers, micro-entrepreneurs who are left out of the traditional banking system. Cooperatives are key in promoting financial inclusivity, and a dedicated bank with a legal framework, which the bills would be discussing, would provide better access to capital and development programs, Mr. Chairman. And finally, I really believe that cooperatives has a strong potential for community-driven development. Ang dami pong mga kooperatiba natin na success stories, hindi lamang sa mga magsasaka sa Nueva Ecija, kung hindi kahit sa Mindanao. A development bank specifically catering to cooperatives would support local economic empowerment by financing projects that promote job creation, sustainable development, and poverty reduction at the grassroots level. I can say a lot, Mr. President, and go on and on, but it would seem, Mr. President, from a mere perusal of the bills under consideration, the only roadblock perhaps would be the discussion of the DOSRI provision, because this would involve the aggregation of several cooperatives. Having said all of this, Mr. President, I am in full support of the passage after discussion of the various measures as a consolidated measure that would provide for a legal framework for cooperative banks in the Philippines. Just the same, Mr. President, with the Land Bank of the Philippines official dam present here, I saw no reason why we should not amend the current charter of the the Land Bank of the Philippines likewise. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to say my piece. Maraming salamat po, dagang salamat. Mabuhay po ang ating mga kooperatiba. Happy Cooperative Month to all. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Majority Floor Leader, Senator Francis Tolentino. I think at this point, Congressman Espares, Representative Espares has an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to our Majority Leader, Senator Tolentino, and the resource persons and the guests. Now, Mr. Chair, the House Bill 8265 have been passed in the third and final reading in the House of Representatives last November 2023 pa, no? And we are thankful that today you included in your agenda that the 10 congresses in the making. It was only this 19th Congress that this charter of the cooperative banks passed in the House of the Representatives and now transmitted in the Senate. And we are hoping no, na mabigyan ng importansya, and then we will be able to really to, as we are praying no, that we could pass no, within this 19th Congress, because this is also part of our support no, to the cooperative banks, because since the very start, the charter being used by the cooperative banks, which is quite different not with the rural banks, wala pa, no? So it's just only this time that this cooperatives bank be given the legislative or its charter really to operate on it's for the good of the cooperatives, its primaries, and through this we can really expect that the growth and development of the cooperative banks in all the country is expected just because of the good environment that we provided to them. No, so as what the majority leader, Senator Tolentino said, it is very important and crucial, and might be, Mr. Chair, something that is quite different from our version of the House and the rest of the Senate version with regards to the dosri, on the primary cooperatives transactions. So this is a provisions that being deleted in the Senate version, and we are hoping that you're going to consider, because the limits of loan to dosri should not be applicable to the primary cooperatives. The reason cooperatives bank were established just because of its primary co-ops, but then dealing with the individual directors, officers, and stakeholders, so they will be abide with the RA 8791, no? But then pagdating dito sa dosri with the primary cooperatives who are the institution, parang walang silbi din itong bill na to if we're going to include also those primary cooperatives who are institutional with regards to the dosri. So yun lang ang isa. Then another one on the matter that other financial technology services such as digital lending and payments and digital wealth management, among others, which is we have discussed it with BSP last time in the House of Representatives during our deliberation, that it should be always approved by the BSP. No, so I again manifest, Mr. Chair, to include this provision in a way that is still subject for the BSP approval. So we have made an agreement on this. So that's the only two important. I know another one with regards to foreign cooperatives, because we wanted that cooperatives also will open their window, because from the very start, cooperatives are included in the negative list of foreign investment. So that's why cooperative banks also will be given this opportunity and allowed to engage with foreign cooperatives who wanted to part of the operations of our cooperative banks here, as long as they are cooperatives in other country, Mr. Chair. So that's all, Mr. Chair, and we are hoping, and thank you for this time that we able to open and deliberate this proposed measure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my thanks to our stakeholders in the public and private sectors who are with us today for this dialogue on the regulation of cooperative banks. Through the Philippine Cooperative Code of 2008, the cooperative sector has played a huge role in delivering financial services to rural areas, especially through the extension of loans and credit to marginalized communities. As of today, there are 21 cooperative banks according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Malaki ang naging tulong ng cooperative banks dahil naging accessible at inilapit sa ating mga kababayan na nasa malalayong lugar ang serbisyo ng mga bangko. Sa pamamagitan ng mga cooperative bank, mas napadali ang pagpapautang sa pamamagitan ng mga loan programs sa mga miyembro ng mga kooperatiba. As of June 2024, cooperative banks have a total loan portfolio of 20.11 billion pesos and total assets of 28 billion pesos. For the same period, they also reported a total operating income of 1.3 billion pesos and a net profit of 233.372 million pesos. Given these facts, it is a must that we revisit the legal and policy framework of cooperative banks to ensure that the resources and functions remain in sync with the current trends and demands of the financial system and the country's socio-economic landscape. It is necessary to strengthen our cooperative banks to increase accessibility for member cooperatives situated in far-flung areas, particularly those who are heavily reliant on loans from these cooperative banks. Mas maraming magsasaka, mangingisda, micro-entrepreneurs, small traders, at iba pang mga rural workers ang matutulungan nito dahil mabibigyan natin ang mga cooperative bank ng mas maraming resources na may babahagi nila sa ating mga kababayan sa pamamagitan ng maayos na regulations. Sa pamamagitan ng bill na ito, ating inaasahan na mabibigyan ng mas maraming pagkakataon ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino na ipagpatuloy ang kani-kanilang mga personal at business endeavor, lalong-lalo na sa mga lugar na lubos na kailangan ng access sa efficient and reliable financial infrastructure. To give us an in-depth look or outlook of cooperative banks and stakeholders, let us recognize our resource persons for their presentation. So at this point, please proceed. But I think, you want to ask? Please proceed with the presentation. Bank, yes. Federation of Bankops. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Your Honor,
Banco.
good
Yes.
afternoon. I am Attorney Mikel Rodriguez, the chairperson of Banco. Allow us to present the rationale for enacting the Cooperative Banking Act. We in the co-op banking sector really believe that there is a need to provide a more structured and supportive regulatory environment for cooperative banks. Given the significant role these banks play in rural development and financial inclusions, and the bills seek to ensure the cooperative banks can thrive, remain stable, and provide a reliable services. The ultimate goal is to support the growth of the cooperative sectors, to stimulate the local economies, and to enhance the financial access for the marginalized group, Your Honor. By addressing governance, financial sustainability, and operational risk management, the Act for Cooperative Banking Act that will be enacted will ensure that cooperative banks will not only be responsive to the needs of their members, but also be able to compete and to operate sustainably within the broader financial system. The proposed Cooperative Banking Act seeks to strengthen the cooperative banks in the Philippines by providing a comprehensive legal framework for their registrations, regulations, and operations. We have several compelling reasons why cooperative sector is asking for the enactment of cooperative bank. One is the lack of existing legislations. Cooperative banks currently operate without a specific law governing their activities, unlike other banks, such as the Rural Bank, which have dedicated legislations. And this absence creates uncertainty and can lead to some inconsistency in the practices across the sector. The Cooperative Banking Act aims to establish a clear legal framework that will outline the operational, governance, and the regulatory requirements for cooperative banks, ensuring that they function effectively and consistently. The distinct nature of cooperative banks, unlike other financial institutions, cooperative banks are owned and operated by the cooperatives, meaning the members who own the bank are often its borrowers or client. And this creates a need for a tailored governance and regulatory structures to ensure the stability while promoting cooperative principles. Another reason is that the unique lending structure. One of the most significant aspects of the cooperative bank is that their members are also their borrowers. The unique relationship means that applying the DOS3, as mentioned by Kong Espares, the rule which limit insider lending in traditional bank would be inappropriate for cooperative banks. Exemptions from those rules, one unique features po that we're asking is that their members also act as borrowers, imposing the DOS rule which limit the borrowing and would not be appropriate since the core cooperative banking relies on lending to its members, and exempting cooperative banks from those rules aligns with their operational model. Exempting them from these regulations allows the bank to operate within their community-focused model while still promoting responsible lending practices. Another is the strengthening of the capitalization, Your Honor. The Act includes, we are asking to include provisions to strengthen the capitalizations of cooperative banks. And by establishing a clear capitalization requirements, cooperative banks can ensure financial stability, allowing them to support their members' needs effectively and respond to economic challenges. Adequate capitalization is very crucial po in building member trust and enhancing banks' ability to provide the loans and other financial services. Another is the investment opportunities. The cooperative bank that we're asking is that for us to invest in allied undertakings, reinforcing the principle of cooperations among cooperatives. This provisions enables cooperative bank to diversify their investment portfolio, which can lead to improve the financial performance. It also facilitates collaborations within cooperative sector by encouraging cooperative banks to invest in insurance cooperatives, healthcare cooperatives, and other supportive entities that serve their members. Another reason is that we're asking for is that investment in allied undertakings. The act that we propose is that it allows cooperative bank to invest in insurance cooperatives, reinforcing the principle again of cooperations among cooperatives. And these provisions will ensure that cooperative banks can diversify their investment portfolios and support the fellow cooperatives. Also, the bank deposits for insurance cooperative. To resolve the issue of insurance cooperatives withdrawing deposits from cooperative banks toward the end of the year and transferring them to commercial bank, the act that we're proposing is that the insurance commissions recognize deposits in cooperative banks as part of an insurance company's financial assets, and this would prevent the withdrawal of funds and ensure cooperative banks retain the deposits year-round. Another is the financial inclusions. By providing a structured environment for cooperative banks to thrive, the act supports the broader goal of financial inclusions. Cooperative banks often serve rural and undeserved communities where access to traditional banking services is limited. And by empowering this bank, the act aims to enhance the access to credit and saving options, ultimately contributing to economic development in marginalized areas. For privileges and incentives, the act that we are proposing is an act that cooperative banks be granted the same privilege and incentives provided to rural banks under Rural Act 1992 or the Republic Act number 7353. This would create a level playing field between the cooperative and the rural banks, allowing the former to access support and benefits that enhance their operations. Also, the expanded power of the cooperative banks. We are asking for that expanded power to invest in equities of allied undertakings, broadening their financial capabilities. This includes investment in various industries such as the leasing companies, the credit card companies, stock brokerage and securities dealership firms, the foreign exchange dealers, insurance cooperative aligning with principle of cooperations among cooperatives, and the printed companies, healthcare cooperatives, and water service cooperatives. And lastly, the alignment with the national goal. The Cooperative Banking Act, we believe, will align to the national development goals by promoting inclusive growth and enhancing the cooperative sector role in the economy. By enabling cooperative banks to operate effectively, the Act supports initiatives that foster community development, local entrepreneurship, and sustainable economic practices. In summary, as we ask for, the enactment of Cooperative Banking Act is imperative to address the unique challenges faced by cooperative banks in the Philippines, and by establishing a dedicated legal framework, ensuring a sound governance, and promoting financial inclusion, the Act will empower cooperative banks to play a crucial role in the country's economic development, ultimately benefiting their members and the communities they serve. Salamat po, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. So at this point, we have some questions we'd like to ask. Sinasabi po ng mga co-op bank ay malaking tulong po sa mga kababayan natin magsasaka, mangingisda, micro-entrepreneurs, small traders, at iba pang rural workers. Ano mga loan program at iba pang project na mayroon para sa mga sector na ito?
Well, we have different loans for agriculture, Your Honor. Mayroon din po tayong iba't iba for the rural side. And particularly nga po, since the members are the primary cooperatives, yun pong na nasa mga laylayan, underserved. And we are really catering to this members and our customers, Your Honor.
Importante po sa committee natin na makarating sa kanila itong financial services at financial infrastructure. Kaya sinusuportan ko po ang bill na ito para gumanda ang serbisyo sa ating mga marginalized sectors. So another question is yung it would seem that the co-op banks, there might be some overlap regarding the jurisdiction of the BSP and the CDA. So can you clarify kung kung may nakikita ba kayong mga overlaps, and if so, how will you address these?
Okay. Among the overlapping, Your Honor, for example, let's say pagdating sa audit committee, the CDA is saying that the audit committee must be elected by the General Assembly. But the BSP is saying that the audit committee, for example, should be a board level and not a separate. And actually, that is already a confusion on our part. Also, another aspect is the CETF, even the CETF, because as granted by CDA, we under 9520, we are allowed to, but under the BSP, it should be an expense outright and not to be separated. So those are among the issues on lapses on the rule between the BSP and CDA. In the TWG that we had before, they're saying that in order to resolve the issue, the BSP should govern on the operations of the cooperative bank, while the CDA is more on the regulations as for example, the beginning as it been allowed to or given the authority to operate.
In terms of mandate, co-op banks are very similar to rural banks, no? In terms of what they to provide credit facilities to farmers and merchants, cooperatives. How would you see, would you see any differences between the mandates of a rural bank as opposed to a co-op bank?
In its unique feature, Your Honor, the owner of cooperative bank is also the customer, the member. The cooperative banks were formed by the capital shared by the member, and we are operating by the member patronizing its products and services. That is why, for example, the DOS-RI should not be applied to cooperative banks, because the owner and the members are the customers at the same time. It's very unique features. But the rural bank, the stockholders, the customers, they are serving to different people. But the owner and the customer is the same.
Yes, I agree with that point. Because of the nature of co-op banks, it's different. That the members, the whole point is the members, yes, are also the clients. At this point, Representative Espares, do you have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, no, to add the statement that the operations of our cooperative banks is usually governed, no, by the BSP, and the CDA is just registering or giving legal personality on that. But then for the operations of our cooperative banks, we are under with the supervision, no, and all rules and regulations of the BSP is being followed with, no. Now, on the statement of that those three as what I have emphasized kanina, ito yung kaibahan talaga with our cooperative banks. Kasi sabi ko, pag binabawal pa rin yung primary co-ops who are the reason of organizing this cooperative banks. So parang wala na rin silbi ang cooperative banks because in our experience, we have a lot of primary cooperatives who are members of the cooperative banks and they are barred to apply for a loan. So they have no choice sometimes is just to withdraw their membership just to avail the service of the cooperative because if you're a member of that certain cooperative bank, you will be charged to the dosary provisions which back-to-back lang ang pwede mo makuha. So alam naman natin yung mga maliliit na mga primary co-ops, they are really rely, no, to the cooperative banks. Kaya nag-cooperative banks tayo para matulungan sila. Now here come, we cannot we cannot give the service just because per BSP guidelines, hindi ka pwede lumampas, no, sa what is being deposit or ownership, no, hanggang dyan ka lang. So ibig sabihin, while the small cooperative na member ng ating cooperative banks who are farmers, peasant folks, maliliit sila and they need the financial assistance to relent or to help for their members, wala silang recourse. Kaya minsan doon napunta kay land bank, no, or any other banks instead of patronizing their own cooperative banks. Kaya kung tingnan mo, maraming cooperative banks ngayon na hindi rin maka-take off masyado kasi kulang din yung kanyang portfolio, no, to really to survive. So that's why sabi ko, pag hindi natin consider itong exemptions na yung primary cooperatives who are the members, at we are going to take note that membership of take note that primary cooperatives, their officers or their membership at saka control by representation, no? So hindi yung the whole co-ops. So ibig sabihin indirect yung kanyang control with the cooperative banks. But then kung yung officers na mismo, yung individual na ang magborrow with the cooperative banks, of course it will govern by the dosary. But then if the primary who are the owners, kung kasama pa doon, so wala rin silbi itong ating charter, Mr. Chair, no, for this cooperative bank. So yun lang siguro ang nakita ko na dapat din natin maintindihan, no, even with our BSP because during our deliberation in the House, napag-usapan na rin yan and then they agree to that provision na i-exempt yung mga dosary for the primary cooperatives who are the member of this cooperative bank. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yes, that point is very well taken and something that we can further discuss in the technical working group. So at this point, hearing no further comments, let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the invited resource persons who gave their valuable inputs in the deliberation for the bills, providing for the registration, regulation, and operation of cooperative banks. With the approval of my colleagues and in consideration of the time allotted for this hearing, I would like to close our hearing on the subject matter of cooperative banks and refer the measures to a technical working group. If you have any additional comments on any of the sections or provisions of the legislative proposal, please email them to the committee and we would gladly welcome and review them. Also, if you have not submitted yet your position papers, kindly submit them no later than October 16. With that, thank you very much, and this hearing is suspended.
Recording stopped.
May we ask our resource persons for the Cooperative Banking Act to have a photo session with the Senator? Next na po yung land bank. Sorry, nag-switch. Thank you thank you to our resource persons for Cooperative Banking Act. Per land bank po, housekeeping, we will ita-transfer namin yung some members of the land bank sa left side. Doon sa side ng may cooperative bank. Oo, sige.
Session resumed. And for next subject matter, this committee will
Recording in
discuss.
progress.
This committee will discuss the following legislative measures on the charter amendment of the Land Bank of the Philippines. Senate Bill number 123, an act providing for a new charter of the Land Bank of the Philippines by Senator Cynthia Villar, an act providing for a new charter for the Land Bank of the Philippines by Senate President Francis Escudero, and Senate Bill number 2839, an act providing for a new charter for the Land Bank of the Philippines, repeating for the purposes section 74 to 100 of Republic Act number 3844, otherwise known as the Agricultural Land Reform Code of 1963, as amended by this representation. Let me take this opportunity to extend my sincere thanks to our stakeholders from the public and private sectors who are with us today for this significant dialogue for the development sector of our country. Allow me to share a few anecdotes on our hearing today. The Land Bank of the Philippines has been a vital component in the implementation of the government's policy, spanning from support for agricultural policies to countryside development. Since its establishment in 1963, Land Bank has largely contributed to advancing the socioeconomic development agenda of the national government. At the core of Land Bank's operations is its role as a catalyst of the sustainable development, responding to the financial requirements not only of small farmers and fisher folks, but also of local government units, MSMEs, private corporations in strategically important industries, GOCCs, financial institutions, and other sectors that create employment and propel robust economic growth. Because of its significant role in the economy, Land Bank strives to strengthen its financial viability and operational agility while maintaining its competitive advantage. In doing so, it is a must that we revisit the Charter of Land Bank to ensure that it is governed with provisions adaptive to the current trends and challenges of the banking industry. Let us start the discussion with the presentation of our resource persons on the proposed amendments to the Charter of the Land Bank of the Philippines. You may proceed.
Honorable Chairperson Senator Mark Villar, and esteemed members of the committee, good day. We appreciate the opportunity to share insights on the proposed new charter for Land Bank of the Philippines as detailed in Senate Bills 123, 2760, and 2839. I'm joined by the leadership team of the bank from various sectors who can address questions and comments. This presentation is a broad overview of Land Bank's performance in service of its mandate and touches on our objectives, financials, and the salient points of our request for a new charter. Land Bank's promise, purpose, and goal. Land Bank just turned 61 years old in August, and our journey has been one of continuous evolution. We have expanded our reach and mandate to support the socio-economic agenda of the government, addressing the financial requirements and needs of diverse sectors that drive economic growth while extending crucial support to the communities in need. The enhancement of our bank's mission, vision, and promise is in step with today's rapidly changing landscape. We are demonstrating our dedication to innovation and customer-centered services, adopting technology to expand our reach and access. And our approach is to provide banking services through our touchpoints, partnerships, and digital platforms. Our purpose is really to provide responsive financial solutions and services for all Filipinos from countryside to countrywide, and our goal is to be the premier financial institution leading in the pursuit of development, inclusion, and sustainability. We are anchored by our values, primarily our love for country, where we embody excellence, ethical standards, we adopt disruptive innovations, and with the aim of delighting our customers. Our promise is to really empower Filipinos for a better future. The objective of the new charter. Land Bank's charter was last amended in July of 2016, and the objective and purpose of our new charter is to future-proof the largest GOCC and government financial institution, and to allow the bank to compete in this fast-paced market environment, bolster our capital raising abilities to ensure we have the structure, balance sheet, and financial capability to meet our mandate in service of our nation. We will go through these salient points in the latter portion of this presentation. Our performance highlights reflect Land Bank's commitment to balancing financial stability with our social mandate, reinforcing our support for national development. We ended June at 3.3 trillion in assets, 2.96 trillion in deposits, and loans of 1.5 trillion. We achieved our net income at 20.70 billion with a CET ratio of 14.19. This slide really demonstrates over our 5-year history how we've grown based on our compounded annual growth rate, where our net income, we ended the year at 40.3 billion with a CAGR of 22%. Our assets are really holding steady at 3.3 trillion, as with our loans and deposits. We'd like to cover as well our consistency and how we are consonant with Republic Act 11190, which is the support for agriculture, fisheries, and rural developments. As of August 2024, we clocked a total of 727.87 billion in support of AFRD, and that really is support for the entire value chain of agriculture and fisheries, which include rural infrastructure development and sustainability projects. This comprises about 55% of Land Bank's total portfolio. We'd also like to highlight how we support all the priority sectors of the national government. These are primarily the LGUs, GOCCs, cooperatives, and MSMEs. Our deposit profile as well has been quite strong and stable. We have 2.9 trillion in deposits as of June 2024. And the breakdown of that would be approximately 70% government and 30% private. Our charter amendment really aims to provide us more access to liquidity that will help us in terms of establishing a stable core funding base that will support long-term projects for project finance and infrastructure projects. We'd like to cover as well Land Bank's touch points, and these are quite numerous. On top of the 606 branches that we have all throughout the country, we are present in all 82 provinces. On top of that, we have partnerships which are bannered under Land Bank Kasama, and that number's around 1,110. We have, of course, ATMs and partnerships with 7-Eleven, just to ensure that our access, the convenience of banking is widespread throughout the country. What we're quite proud of is our digital banking, where we have provided basically platforms and services that allow us to expand and that allow us to reach our clients in greater scale. On top of that, we have been partners to various government agencies, DICT, HDMF, DSWD, in the distribution of 4Ps for the 4Ps, and also in terms of the overall payments and collections and transaction banking services for many of the government agencies, including the BSP. So in summary, just to provide, I guess, an overview of our support to the national government. This year, we have remitted 32 billion in dividends to the national government based on our 40 billion of net income last year. We have, of course, also provided equity to the Maharlika Fund. We are the largest lender to LGUs and GOCCs, and as well as the stable and strong partner to national government in the various sectors, including, of course, and more importantly, on agriculture. For financial inclusion, we have been ahead of everyone in of most financial institutions in that we have waived InstaPay transfer fees for 1,000 pesos and below. And those fees are free for up to 3 times every day, daily. And we've also lowered our fees for peso net transfer. So this is really in service of our financial inclusion mandate. What we'd like to present here would really be how we're benchmarked against the financial industry. We are top 2 in terms of assets, top 3 in terms of loans and deposits, and in 4th place for capital. Emphasizing the need really for us to catch up and further increase our capital to allow us more fuel to be able to serve the sectors of the country, various sectors of the country. Now, I'd like to now pass on the presentation to Attorney Tolentino, who will cover the salient points of the Land Bank Charter.
Pleasant afternoon, Honorable Senator Villar. We again would like to express our gratitude to our honorable senators for their efforts in introducing legislation aimed at modernizing Land Bank. To quote Senator Mark Villar in his explanatory note under Senate Bill 2839, a new charter for Land Bank is intended to support the enhancement of financial stability, operational agility, and market competitiveness of the bank. A new charter aims to ensure that Land Bank continues to be a catalyst of sustainable development and crucial sectors that create employment and propel economic growth. Senate President Francis Escudero likewise mentions in his explanatory note under Senate Bill 2760 that a proposed new charter will enable Land Bank to provide comprehensive support for agricultural and industrial initiatives, foster financial inclusion, and support vulnerable sectors. The Senate President likewise stated that the legislative measure is not merely an update, but a transformative step towards fortifying Land Bank as an instrument of national development. Now, we can go through the certain key features that are relatively consistent across the Senate bills related to the Land Bank Charter. Now, the objective is that we will have a standalone charter which would solidify Land Bank's broad mandate to support various sectors, including the entire agriculture value chain, rural development, and financial inclusion. It will allow the Land Bank to expand sources of capital in order to tap a broad equity capital market, expanding our investor base, and provide agility to support growth. In terms of issuance of bonds, streamlining the process is likewise an objective in order to allow the bank to tap the debt capital markets to provide agility and allow the bank to tap constructive market windows. Increasing the authorized capital stock of the bank will also strengthen operations and government support. In terms of leadership, this salient feature on the diversification of the board provides for the governance structure and membership conditions for the board of directors, ensuring a balanced and equipped leadership critical to provide guidance and direction to Land Bank's management in pursuit of implementation of its strategies around the complex business of banking. The bills likewise provides for a structured framework supporting better management of the bank's assets. And lastly, one of the key features is to allow the bank to improve synergies and alignment with the across the ecosystem of Land Bank with its subsidiaries. And all of these features, put it all together, and among others, are features that investors, debt and equity consider in assessment of investments and are critical for the bank in pursuing successful fundraising transactions in the future. To sum it all up, I would like to request our president.
So, Honorable Senator Mark Villar, thank you very much for your time and for your support of our new bill. I think Land Bank's purpose and mandate will further be bolstered and strengthened with our new charter. And we are very hopeful for this to be passed very soon. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for that very comprehensive presentation. Just have a few questions. I was reading recently that there are efforts to you are shopping around for buyers of UCPB. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair. It's really our UCPB savings bank.
Savings.
Yes, so most of the services actually of the savings bank are already provided for by Land Bank. Hence, I think this is the request, or we have received the approval to actually be able to privatize UCPB savings.
Completely privatized, so there won't.
That's correct, sir.
And Land Bank owns 100% of UCPB
As
Savings
a
Bank.
result of the merger, Mr. Chair.
And is there any updates with this the sale of UCPB?
Let me request Farrell, our treasurer, who runs investment bank, to go through this.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there's already an executive order issued to this effect. So we are now in the process of offering it to the public, selecting the prospective buyers.
And I have a question. It's regarding operations. Minsan nakikita ko na napakahaba ng pila sa mga land bank branches. Ano kaya yung mga measures na pwede natin gawin para mabawasan naman yung mga mahahabang pila sa mga land bank branches?
Sir Senator, actually, we have instituted quite a number of measures to address the long lines. And yung pong long line kasi is normally, that happens pag may top up ang CCT beneficiaries, and this is done on a frequent periodic basis. What we have done so far is actually to tie up with the 7-Eleven so that our beneficiaries can likewise withdraw their assistance from the machines, ATM machines at the 7-Eleven. For under this arrangement po, they can withdraw free of charge from the ATM of the 7-Eleven while it is the bank that pays. Practically with this arrangement, sir, the bank doubled the capacity of its machines because the 7-Eleven has a little over 3,000 machines all over the nation. And Land Bank also has about 3,000 machines. And we are still increasing this number as we speak right now.
So when will you implement this program?
Sir, it's already on po, yung arrangement. It's
already existing.
It's already existing for
good.
the last 2 years po.
Siguro maganda na kung i-promote po natin yung program para sa kalaman ng ating mga kliyente sa land bank. I mean, sometimes you can see the lines are very extensive. So I'm happy that you've already implemented some solutions to
actually meron pa pong
reduce.
Solution din kami. We have actually tapped yung partners in different areas. We call that Land Bank Kasama. We have over 1,000 partners po. The reason why we tap these partners, ito po yung mga managed individuals in different areas. Not individuals, but enterprises, wherein we provided them with POS gadgets so that the beneficiaries need not go to the urban areas to get their allowances using the ATM. So with this Land Bank Kasama partners, they don't have to pay for their transport. They just have to go to the Land Bank Kasama and they can actually be serviced. So that is part po of the continuing improvements that we are doing just to provide assistance to our clients.
Yes. And also, included in the bill is yung pag-increase ng authorized capital stock. Ano naman ang benepisyo ng pag-increase para sa ating mga priority sectors? Anong maging benepisyo sa kanila?
Okay,
Yes.
Senator, the increase in the capital stock, Senator, and actually attendant to that would be our ability to access the equity capital markets. Will make it important for us then to be able to grow our capital base and in turn also be able to extend longer term funding for projects because for now, of course, our deposit base is 70% government, 30% private sector. Most of that would be really short term in nature. There is a core deposit base that we have, but in our ability to access both markets, the debt bond markets where we could probably go 10 years or more, and the equity capital markets, which will be stable base, we would be able to then provide funding for all of these long gestation infrastructure and project finance energy projects.
So which is very beneficial for these marginalized
That's right.
marginalized priority sectors of the land bank. So
Thank
that's
you, sir.
good. And also I noticed that there's a proposal to change the makeup of the land bank board. It designates the NEDA secretary as the new ex officio member and adds 3 independent directors, 1 from the agricultural sector and 2 from the private. Notably, tinanggal po ang requirement na 2 members are representatives ng agrarian reform. So what is the purpose for taking out the representatives of the agrarian reform beneficiaries?
And Senator, I think the composition of the board will appropriately this requested composition of the board will better reflect the diversity of the sectors that we cover. And the ex officio, of course, continues to be the Secretary of Agriculture, the Secretary of Agrarian Reform. We were hoping NEDA then, of course, would likewise be there to then take a broader view in terms of the overall socioeconomic development priorities of the country. The agrarian reform beneficiaries, I believe, are already best represented by the Secretary of DAR. Hence, private sector would be critical for us, particularly as we are going to be accessing the equity and debt markets. I think a diverse representation in the board of finance, banking, digital experts would be very crucial for us to deliver our mandates.
Thank you very much for shedding light on our questions. And I think at this point that there are no further comments. So let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the invited resource persons for the charter amendment of the Land Bank of the Philippines. With the approval of my colleagues and in consideration of the time allotted for this hearing, I would like to adjourn our hearing and refer the measures to a technical working group. If you have additional comments on any of the sections or provisions of the legislative proposal, please email them to the committee and we would gladly welcome and review them. Also, if you have not submitted your position papers, kindly submit them no later than October 16. So with that, again, thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm Yusek Louis Panglayan from the Department of Agrarian Reform.
Yes.
We just like to manage we're submitting our position paper also on the matter, Mr. Chair, in compliance with your instructions.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. So kindly submit them no later than October 16. And with that, thank you very much. And this hearing is adjourned.
Recording stopped.
May we request our resource persons from the Land Bank of the Philippines chart and all the other guests for the Land Bank Charter to take up the stage and have a photo session with the chairman.